Lions Rock Productions.
This is Jay Moore.
This is Greg Cruz.
This is Bryce Vine.
This is Dexter from The Offspring.
This is Nathan
This
East.
is Sebastian Younger.
This is Daryl
This is Stuart Copeland.
This is Mick Gillette.
This is Andy Summers.
This is Dr. Bob Greenberg.
This is Gabby Reese.
This is Rob Bell.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
And now, the Break It Down Show with John Leon Guerrero and Pete A. Turner.
Every week on the Break It Down Show, we do something called an album fight. This is where we take two albums from very notable groups and we smash them together and go song v song to determine a winner in the ring. It's sort of like a boxing match. The point is they're a lot of fun, and maybe if you listen already, maybe you recall a couple of good rounds and you'd like to hear them again, or maybe you don't make it all the way through the fight. I thought today let's just pull out a couple of these exciting rounds and put them out there for us all to hear. If you haven't listened, here's your chance to get a nice mix of all the different people that participate in the album fight. There must be 30 different people that I'm talking to on a regular basis, either setting up new fights, they've been on old fights, they're contributing, we're talking, and it's just a lot of fun. Hey, look, we want you guys to enjoy this music. We want you guys to participate in this. Everybody's got an opinion. Everybody has an idea for a fight. I'm definitely listening, doing my best to get these things done. So this week, let's spend some time looking back, and I want to hear what Richard has to say about what we're about to do today.
The rounds you're going to hear have been some of the most interesting we've put together so far in album fights. Of course, we had to do the big fight, number one versus number two, Pet Sounds versus Sgt. Pepper's. We've also put albums of the year versus albums of the year, huge selling albums versus huge selling albums. But we've also pit father versus son to see who rules in the Marley household. And to no one's surprise, it produced the biggest blowout so far. But as we've said before, it's not really about who wins. It's more about taking two great albums and listening to them in the song v song format. And it's amazing how you hear things you've never heard before, even with albums that you feel like you know very well. If you haven't tried it yet, give it a go. You'll be surprised. So in the beginning, I was tasked with predicting fights. And to be honest, at the beginning, I just did it by gut instinct, the seat of my pants for the first few. And when you look at the albums, it's just not easy just predicting who's going to win. So over time, I started looking at numbers and parameters and started looking for more numbers and more parameters. Anything I could use to help me make decisions. And since the patent pending number system has been introduced, even I've been surprised how accurate it is. And the numbers almost always tell you where to go, and I think in the only one or two wrong predictions, it wasn't until I introduced the human element. Like in the case of a tie, because Pete will not let me say we're going to have a fucking tie. God forbid I predict a fucking tie. Anyway, it's the human element that has caused a bad prediction, almost every time. The only time the numbers steered me kind of wrong was Beastie Boys versus NWA, only because so far, in the case of a tie, the critics' numbers tend to determine the winner more so than the popularity numbers. But in that case, fun won out on the day, and there's nothing wrong with that. Also, for those keeping track, albums with a perfect 5-star average review are only 1 in 3 album fights. Pet Sounds, lost. The Clash, lost. The only 5-star winner was probably one of the most obscure albums we've judged so far, Closer by Joy Division. And that's why I do what I do and love doing this podcast so much. I want people to find a band or learn to appreciate bands they hadn't heard of or paid much attention to in the past. Sure, we all know the Beatles or the Stones. We've all heard Metallica and U2. But when someone can say, wow, I never really listened to Squeeze or the Kinks, now I've got to listen to them more. Or maybe someone will say, damn, I never really liked the Eagles or Steely Dan before, and now I really appreciate them for their great music. Fuck that, they suck. No one in their right mind would ever say that. Back to you guys.
And of course, Richard, as always, puts together some great thoughts, and he really has created so much value in these album fights. I really enjoy it.
Today's album fight is a celebration of the greatest rounds from prior fights, with legendary tracks battling against one another. In the red corner, we have the likes of Rush, Michael Jackson, Led Zeppelin, Simon and Garfunkel, and the Beach Boys. Versus their opponents in the blue corner, Legends such as Steely Dan, AC/DC, U2, Guns N' Roses, and the Beatles. Let's get ready to ramble. Take it away.
So look, the first one we're going to kick off with is it was super hard to get Rush into the ring. And then when we realized we could make Rush and Steely Dan work, we had to do it. So here comes round one, and the judges are going to be John, the Yarb, and a guy named Pete, but not me. So we'll call him Other Pete. And then you'll hear through the rest of the show who else is out there.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's a lot.
Definitely not Asian.
All right. Well, then, here we go. Round one is Tom Sawyer versus Black Cow. PJ the DJ. Kick us off.
All right. So Black Cow is a legendary intro track. But what drummer between 30 and 60 years old can say that whenever they heard that in-your-face smash of the bass drum, crash cymbal, and descending synth note beginning of Tom Sawyer, that they didn't instantly and passionately break out into air drumming and continue unbroken said air drumming throughout the entirety of the song, each and every time they heard the song?
Jesus.
Not me.
No.
So, for me, Tom Sawyer.
Okay.
Round one goes to Tom Sawyer. That's all I got.
All right. Yarb, what'd you do?
It's a battle of two very interesting albums. Growing up, my dad had a little Steely Dan mixtape. He'd always play that when we'd go on road trips, and so that was always there. But there was no band probably more omnipresent, with maybe the exception of the Beatles, than Rush. So this is definitely a tough. On Black Cow, you've got some really good moments there. You've got that great sax solo by Wayne Shorter. He played some with Miles Davis. So there's some fantastic moments there, but Pete's got it right. I have it here too. I have it actually as a knockdown right from the gate with Tom Sawyer. I have it 10-8 Tom Sawyer, and I'll tell you why. For me, there are so many layers to Tom Sawyer. Later Rush albums would become very synth heavy, but I felt like this is the album where they had that nice mix. Not too much, not too little. On Tom Sawyer, there'll be a moment where you're listening to Geddy with that slapping that bass line, and suddenly you'll hear Alex come in, and then they'll both sort of fade back and sing. Dead center of it all is one of the greatest drummers of all time, in my opinion. And he just, like Pete said, who doesn't sit there and air drum that boom, 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 boom moment in the song. But yeah, I have that as they came out, throw a haymaker, 8-10 in favor of Tom Sawyer.
Wow. Okay. Well, Steely Dan to me is a Rolls Royce. Okay, time and again they've delivered the absolute best in refinement and craftsmanship. And Black Cow is the first presentation on this album. Joe Sample, Tom Scott, Larry Carlton. You know, these guys are absolute royalty on their instruments, but also like a Rolls Royce. It's not the first glance that really gets you. Tom Sawyer, though, you're right. It's a defining song for Rush.
It sets
and their
the tone for the
announcement
album,
that the
too.
album's underway. That's right. It sets the tone. Here we go. We're coming out throwing haymakers. I'll bet that 100,000 drum sets were bought, and that at least that many girls lost interest in some nerd who was entirely too into this song to notice eyelashes being batted at him. So Neil Peart does kick in the door. Geddy Lee throws in the smoke bomb of the Oberheim OBX. And then Alex Lifeson. Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Intro just...
Here we go. Nerding out. No chicks are interested in what we're doing. Yes. Alex Lifeson also taught 1 million kids about harmonics. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's a Marvin Hagler round for Rush. They came out throwing.
I've always felt that Lifeson is one of the most underrated guitarists of all time.
Yep.
I mean, is he one of the best? That's a conversation for a different time. But as far as underrated, maybe even underappreciated, he's just...
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
you know, it's the situation where he showed up with Geddy Lee and Neil Peart.
Yeah.
And if he was in any other band, he'd be the star of the show.
Absolutely.
But he came with those other two guys. So guess what? He's going to play his part, and it's going to be amazing. And fewer people are going to notice him than would have noticed him had he been in in another band, in any other band, practically.
Right.
Not a blistering soloist, but Rush had a particular sound, and it needed the right guitar player to create the textures.
Absolutely.
And the harmonic structure, and he was the perfect guy. I don't think anyone else could have done it like him.
And they're analogous to another trio we like. He's sort of the Andy Summers of the band, where, again, he's providing tons of texture.
Yep.
And is the perfect guy in the perfect spot. And I agree. So we went unanimous on round 1 with Tom Sawyer.
All right.
Okay, look, now in this round, we've got AC/DC taking on Michael Jackson. So you've got Back in Black taking on Michael Jackson's Bad. You've got myself, John, and Joel, and this is a really funny one.
All right, so keep us going. Joel, your thoughts on round 4, Liberian Girl versus Giving the Dog a Bone.
Dealing with the change-up, because, when you listen to a full album, you listen to the same type of tempo all the time. Kind of throws me off. It's like, what song is they on now? For me, Liberian Girl had a little bit more of a global message to it, and I think this was really more of one of those personal preferences. Michael's still, of course, showing his attitude with the first 3 rounds, but this particular song, he's really slowing down the tempo and everything with his album. But he's showing that vulnerability side of him, but without losing any strength. But I mean, come on. This is one of those songs you'd hear on an R&B station while trying to be with that special someone. I love you. That type of thing. It's a smart play, I think, here, as the lyrics and the rhythm have that dance and play. It's slow, it's subtle, and provides that, that relaxing pause from the attitude and tension of rounds 1 through 3. Now, what I find interesting is that, I was always wondering where, in Liberia, in Africa, what did the girls think about that over there? And for obvious reasons, it's one that I had to play over and over again to try to, listen. But I got to give them some creative marks for adding some Swahili chants and making the sound more of a global appeal. On the ACD side, they just slid right from, what you do into Giving the Dog a Bone. Whereas Michael slows down and allows me to rest my ears a bit, AC/DC continues with those power chords and same push of what you'd expect from Angus and his guitar solos. Now, if I'm driving down the road, I'm turning this up and pressing the gas on the AC/DC song, but I got to be honest, my ears by this time needed a little bit of a break. The same lyrics driven into my skull over and over again after the first 3 rounds of rocking it out became a bit repetitive for me. When matched up against Michael Jackson's Liberian Girl, the song ended up what Michael Jackson did in the last minute of Bad, too much repetitiveness in the lyrics. Although both really good songs, Liberian Girl just had that edge that really left this song for want. Due to the matchup and the placement in the album with the repetitive lyrics, it just didn't do it for me. To me, it was the only one that I rated an 8 for AC/DC.
Wow.
Knockdown.
Yeah. Knockdown round.
Between the two of them, this one just didn't hold up against Michael Jackson's song. And that was the only one that did that for me.
Wow. What do you say, Pete?
Well, look, I love the world music feel like you talked about, Joel, and the keys and the drums, the bass. Those things are all cool, and I love those sounds. And I think this is one of the songs. It's actually a different album than Thriller here. We're talking about a different thing, and I like this song. I just don't think it's strong. On the other hand, you got Bon Scott. He just finishes talking to the gold digger chick, and now he's getting a blowjob from a girl who's not that hot. You live at Chubby. Maybe she's the bar back.
It's so good.
I mean, look at the thing. Oh, she's no Mona Lisa. She's no Playboy star, but she'll send you to heaven and explode you to Mars. Yes, please. Yeah, look, they're both love songs. It just Brian gets to have more fun in his love song. And what's better than fat chicks and blowjobs in bars? I mean, that's what this song is about. And you're sending your buddy off in style. Over here. You're fucking killing me. I can't believe you missed out on that, Joel. Come on. This is what badass.
I've been living in a closet for the past decade. I mean, come on, man. It's all right.
This is what badass rock and roll motherfuckers do.
It is a great song. I just had to deal with the duality in my mind.
Yeah.
Here.
Well, let me tell you about duality. It's 2 knees on the floor in front of your cock. That's what duality is. 10-9 AC/DC.
Oh, holy goodness. Shit. Oh, my God. All right.
Oh, man.
That's good. I also suffered from a little ear fatigue with Giving a Dog a Bone. Again, any rock and roll band would kill to have a song this good on their album, just one of them. But by now, for my ears, I needed a slight break. Liberian Girl on the Other Side gave me a reason to go to Everpedia and read about Liberia. And what I found there was fascinating. Everybody should go there and look up Liberia because their impact on... One of the things that I like to explore is on the subject of race, because I grew up in a black neighborhood. On the subject of race, I like to explore the interplay between how black folks treat each other. Because as important as the discussion is among all of the other races, I got to experience the subtleties, and they are fascinating for the study of human beings. And Liberia is a great example for what seems like a specifically terrific idea that was not thought through or played out a little differently than I think people thought. So for the fascinating topic, for the tender love song, for the change of pace on the record, for the use of tools that the AC/DC toolbox just didn't have in it, I went 10-9 Liberian Girl. I did not go 10-8, though. And I didn't score... I don't think I scored 8 on any of these because these albums are just so good, both of them. Round 4 went Liberian Girl for me.
Okay, this is probably our most recent one. It's NWA's Express Yourself versus No Sleep Till Brooklyn. This is a lot of fun. This one is judged by myself, Brian, and Dan Rupert. All right, let's do round 8. Express Yourself versus No Sleep Till Brooklyn. Good fucking God, this is a hard round. Go ahead, Brian.
No Sleep Till Brooklyn, right? Slayer's Kerry King comes in and lends his guitar to this one. The Beastie Boys genre at this point, they call them rap rock, and this song kind of leans more towards the rock end of the spectrum. And I know that this song was the walk-up music to Rich Aurelia, and I think pretty much every other Brooklynite ever played in Major League Baseball. Express Yourself, it's another Dr. Dre showcase over the Charlie Wright and the 103rd Street Rhythm Band's soulful classic. Again, Dre's flow fails to impress me. I've heard so much of what he becomes that it's frustrating to hear him this way. The nutty thing about this song is it's about individuality, self-expression, and restricting censorship, yet it's the only NWA song that doesn't have any profanity. In the end, though, I wound up giving this round to the Beasties 10-9.
That's excellent. Great note. Oh, man. All right, so look, I don't know what the hell to do with this. This is such a hard round, and I was wondering, like, I try to make the no ties rule, but honestly, sometimes you have to do it, and I worked hard to get there. I did not score this one a tie, but easily could have. Jesus Christ, Cube is so good at writing. He was so developed even back then, and then he got better later on. This is such a strong song with the sampling, the way the words do it. I love it. I love it. Express Yourself so much, and then No Sleep Till Brooklyn is, it is another anthem, and it's another party rock thing, and I have to go with Truth over party rock. I'll go a tight 10-9, only because I think Express Yourself matters more socially. Dan, take a crack at it.
All right, so I know the rules, but this one I had to break. So going to the Beastie Boys, first off, shout out to Motorhead, because this was a little bit of a tribute, takeoff of Motorhead, if you didn't know that, No Sleep Till Hammersmith. I love this song. The second it comes on, Mm-hmm. And it's one of those, like you said, anthems, but it's a totally different iconic anthem using, Slayer, and just, you could literally see the griminess of New York City and the party scene of New York City in this song. Growing up in New Jersey, driving into the city to party, I don't know of a trip that I took that this song wasn't played at least once. Just an amazing song. But then you're going up against Express Yourself, one of the catchiest hooks. Like you said, the lyrics, first off, sampling Charles Wright, who in the world, unless you're a music aficionado, to figure out Charles Wright, oh my. But to hook that and to make it, like you said, an impactful statement along with the words, and the Ice Cube is so good at this point. I actually could not decide which song for totally different reasons. So this is the only thing I scored a tie on. Probably will be the only time I will ever score a tie. 10-10. I just couldn't do it.
You're such a fucking coward. God.
I know. I know.
No, it was a really hard round. I mean, let's just slow down for a second and talk about this, because, Brian, I'm sure you struggled too, but how do you sort it out? How do you make a difference? I mean, because these songs are so close in quality. I mean, in terms of production, no difference. In terms of message, I mean, one's an anthem of partying. I don't know. What do you think, Brian?
In the end, it just... I listened to both of these multiple times, and I don't even really know how I picked it. It's just the No Sleep Till Brooklyn. I don't know if it was more familiar to me or if it just hit me more or what. It was probably the familiarity factor, and that I've probably listened to it more than I've listened to Express Yourself.
The sample there in No Sleep Till Brooklyn, No Sleep Till... It's like that was written for that fucking song. Like that was actually made that way.
Except it's AC/DC,
right,
which is so outlandish.
Yes. It's what if that might be the best sample of all time? It might just it's up there, because it doesn't even feel, like a lot of times you're sliding things in, but that is just, it's made for that song. God damn, it's good. Okay, so one of my favorite ones, we really nailed down the analysis. I highly recommend you check out Joy Division versus Depeche Mode. It's Passover versus Personal Jesus. Our judges in this one are Todd Nemeth, Mike LaPerry, and myself.
Like the song Isolated, Yeah, all the songs that were the 1980 songs are definitely darker.
Well, let's do round 3. We've got Passover versus Personal Jesus. I love it when this happens. Two religious songs, they're alluding to a religious kind of theme. And who'd ever thunk it? These bands never thought this up. So Passover is powerful. Here's what matters for me. When I was reading through the lyric, and the lyric and the singing really for Joy Division really matters a lot. The 5th line of each verse is a question. So the first one is this the role you wanted to live? Okay, that's heavy. And the next one is, can I go with this train of events? Can I go on? Is this the gift I wanted to give? So here's a guy who's taking inventory. He's looking at his wife, soon-to-be ex-wife, saying, is this the role you wanted? Can I even do any more of this? Is this what I wanted to be? And it's such a heavy personal inventory. And, and he uses a Passover, kind of way to talk about it, but really those 3 questions for me were the big difference. And then in Personal Jesus, here's the thing: when Depeche Mode's a great pop band, and they sing about love, they're kind of like The Cult, but with synthesizers, where it's like, baby, 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 let's have sex, that kind of thing. So it's cool. I do like the lyric of lift up the receiver, I'll make you a believer, because that would make no sense to anybody born after, I'm going to say, 1995. It's a strong pop song. Yeah. Johnny Cash has covered it. Sammy Hagar has covered it. Sammy Hagar loved it. He's like, it's got a great groove. It's got great hooks. It's got a great lyric. But no one really is taking it from him. It's just that Joy Division goes to a different place. So this for me is 10-9 Joy Division. Todd, how about you?
That's interesting. Yeah, so I gave this to Depeche Mode. I just think Personal Jesus is such a classic song, starting from the harmonics and guitar to the crazy slide, that you can't tell if it's a synthesizer or a guitar. It's great lyrics. It's kind of that great kind of frustration, of like sitting at home and hearing confessions and, that kind of thing. It's great. And then it kind of translates like this real simple, cool, blues riff over to like guitar and synth, which is a pretty good feat, I don't know if we're going to mention this, but this is what Priscilla Presley used to call Elvis Presley, was her personal Jesus, so there's like a weird Elvis connection there too. So, it's just like it's a perfectly crafted pop song, and so I have to give it its due that way. The Joy Division one, I agree. Passover, it's really good. I love like the whispering behind the lyrics. I love the whole thing. It's kind of suicide as a metaphor for being released from slavery. So there's like the Passover, thing that's like metaphor for the whole thing. And if assuming that interpretation is true, kind of that lyric about leaving a mark on the door is like it becomes really grim. It's like, is it lamb's blood or is it your own blood or what is it? So
I pictured him hanging himself from the door. That's what I pictured.
Yeah, well, yeah, but it's in Passover, there was the lamb's blood on the door. So you want to get the plague, and then it's like when he's talking about leaving a mark on the door somehow in a suicide or something. It's like it's a terrifying thought, it's just like so dark and shocking when you get to that. So it's fantastic, but I still gave it to Depeche Mode, but barely.
Mike, what about you?
Yeah, I'm finding myself looking at my notes, agreeing with Todd a lot. I thought Passover was definitely a strong song, and Joy Division doesn't deliver any weak songs on this album, so I'll say that once and probably repeat it again. It's well performed. I don't know that this is the best song on the album. I don't think it's close to the best song. Overall, it's got, it works well, but it's up against Personal Jesus, which is a catalog-defining song. I imagine Depeche Mode plays this at every single concert now. I called out Johnny Cash's kick-ass cover of it, but I also called out Depeche Mode's own cover of their own song, where they did an acoustic version of it, which is one of my favorite arrangements. And you can really get more into the lyrics when it's just the strumming of an acoustic guitar versus all of the instrumentation they put into it. But both versions are great. I can't give this one to Joy Division, even though it's a strong song. Personal Jesus is just a stronger song, 10-9, but not an overwhelming 10-9.
In this round, this is a funny one, so this is why it got in there. So many great rounds. Another piece of great analysis. We had REM's Green take on the B-52's Cosmic Thing. What a fantastic fight. You guys have to listen. Judges are Brian, myself, and Richard Lackey steps out from the analysis booth, and he jumps in and is a judge with us.
All right, well, let's do round 7, Brushfire versus Orange Crush. Richard, this is your round. Kick us off.
For Brushfire, I put interesting. This sounds like another song, but I can't place it, and I still don't know. And then I wrote the question: was this in a movie? I don't know. Something about this song is familiar, and I don't remember for what. I don't know for what reason. It's a strong choice. It's a good song, but it's going up against Orange Crush, which I think is the best song on this album. Jangle Pop Guitar, which hits me in my lizard brain. Mike Mills Rules again, and this is REM to me. This sound is REM. And Pete, you'll love this. I wrote it down as a note. It has some U2 overtones to it.
Yes.
So I went 10-9 for Orange Crush.
Yeah, for me, round 7, Brushfire is so close to being a great song. I love the whole smoke in your eyes voice thing that they do. I mean, you want to not keep saying, hey, Cindy and Kate can sing, but guess what? They can sing.
They really sing.
And they really drive what this band is. And there's so much South. There's so much the South in this. And when we're all unfairly critical of the South and, oh, they're a bunch of bigots and closed-minded, racists and all that kind of... Yeah, but you know what, though? Don't miss this stuff, though, because it's wonderful. There's so many good things in here. The B-52s are a hell of a band. And though this song isn't quite what Orange Crush is, you've got to spend a moment and say Cindy and Kate are sirens, and they will sing you and make you go, I'm going to put my family in a minivan and drive on a vacation we can't afford every year because we got to roam because Cindy and Kate said so. They make taking that leap with them, to go out and dance in torn sheets in the rain. They make that shit a good idea because they're goddamn sirens. And Fred's out there going, he's just your devil on your shoulder shaking up a martini going, do it. I love the heck out of this song. But it's Orange Crush. And like you said, Richard, this is REM being REM. They're a political band, and there's a lot of bands that sing about their dad in Vietnam, but, this song is something more.
Can I just pipe in here since you're on that topic? This isn't a preachy political song. but it's a political song, and that's
Right.
all I ask for in my. I want my rock to be irreverent, and I want them to talk about stuff, but I don't want it to sound like whining. And here they do it with smart word choice, and it's not just here's my agenda. You know, listen to me, hear me. You know, it's just a strong political statement wrapped in a good song, and I just had to kind of bounce in. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, no, they do it. They straddle that line nicely. Pearl Jam goes over it sometimes. That's the band I think of when I think of doing too much, where you're like, you're actually making me embrace the thing you hate. So I don't think this song does that, and I think it's very much like this one goes out to the one I love. It's the same vein, same kind of vibe, and you know they're just these are the songs that allow them to tour for the rest of their lives if they want to. They haven't chosen to do it. But this is one of those songs that when they do their last tour ever, they'll have this and they'll know exactly when to drop it in, and it's one of the ones that will always be on the list. It's a fantastic song. I've got this round 10-9 for REM. Brian, why don't you do round 7?
All right. First off, both you guys got to do eyes. The title of the song is Bushfire, not Brushfire. And when I see a title called Bushfire and I see Kate Pearson, the first thing I think of, it's impure. I'm going to tell you that much. She's got that bright red hair and the song titled Bushfire. Hey now, this is my kind of party. Right? They're singing about landscapes burning red. If you've got a fire and you can't put it out, I need your arms to take me down. We're talking about burning loins here, folks. Whether you're into the innies or the outies, it's time to get down. As great as the theme is, I thought the song itself dragged a little. There was too much repetition for me, and the song could benefit from about a 90-second haircut. Orange Crush, gosh, I really struggle with this song. Obviously it's about Vietnam and Agent Orange, and there's some vivid imagery and important messages in there. We are the agents of the free. I've had my fun. Now it's time to serve your conscience overseas. High on the booze in a tent paved with blood. I know Michael Stipe's dad was in Vietnam. My dad was in Vietnam too. So this is a personal song, and it's a powerful message. But they wrap that in this sugary pop package, and I just can't accept that. It misses the mark for me. So I wound up scoring this one 10-9 for the B-52s.
I'm gonna completely disagree. There's nothing sugary pop about that sound. The military type drums and no, I can't. No.
I like the use of the helicopter effect too, and the use of the harmonics on the.
That just
guitar.
broke my heart, Brian.
Fantastic.
I'm sorry. That's the way I heard it.
Brian,
you obviously misfired on Bushfire too. So I mean, I don't know.
I didn't say the word brushfire once. That was. Yeah. No, we're offshore. We're with this.
Richard, this is your round. Kick us off.
For brushfire,
Okay, this one, two epics. Led Zeppelin 3 takes on Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. We've got Wes Maybe, John, and myself, and this is such a great piece of analysis that I'm sure you're going to enjoy it.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, we share the same birthday, so I dig her. I'm hoping at some point I get to meet her.
Excellent.
Round 6 was Gallows Pole versus Money. Gallows Pole is a cool poem. It's a really cool tune. The acoustic guitars, the banjo. Jimmy Page, man, he's just got such an amazing range, and he decides at this point to take us to Orange, Texas, of all places. I don't know why Orange, Texas. It just seems gritty and greasy like that. It's a really fun song, but money is money. I mean, every time you hear this song, I don't know if it's just me, but I can't stop singing this song for at least 2 days. If I hear it just on the radio, I'm going dun 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 dun. I mean that. Oh man, that badass sax solo by Dick Perry leads into that vamp with that bass line. You cannot sleep on David Gilmour on the bass, by the way. And aside from the solo break, the shit is in 7. How you gonna have hit song in 7? That takes balls. So I went Money 10-9. How about you, Pete?
Yeah, these next two rounds for me, maybe the two hardest rounds we've done. This was so hard. So I had this 10-10 for a while, and I had to get up and just relax for a minute because we don't like to have ties, and it's fine. But I felt like I owed these fighters, an actual round winner. So I came back and I started thinking, Gallows Pole is a fucking awesome song when you really dig into it. Yes, it's kind of a cover, but they did it enough differently enough with an arrangement that's unique enough that they're actually credited as one of the original writers on the song. The second half is all of them. So they did something pretty incredible and took a really big leap. And then when I found like the old versions of Gallows Pole, it's extremely dated, not hit-making material. So they really do own this song. And look, they're not the first one to take some old Black Eyes song and turn it into something great, but they really do it. But what takes the song over the top is the dude's sister comes and she lays with the hangman, and he's like, "That's a nice piece of ass. Do you guys see that? That's a nice piece of ass. I'm still going to kill you, though." And that's just cold, just to sing that. So they took the money, they took the pussy, and he's like, "You're still going to swing." That, wow. That is a heavy right hand to the damn kidneys, and it absolutely crushes what Pink Floyd does. Unfortunately, Pink Floyd is tougher than that, and they just spit out a big old bloody loogie, and they come right back with money. The lyric, I'm in the Fidelity First Class traveling set, and I think I need a Learjet. Because there's just so much fucking money in what these guys are doing. And I think Roger Waters even says, he's like, "I got to decide if I'm a socialist for reals or not, because I like this money. Get your hands off my stack, Jack." That dichotomy, that self-fight, plus also just what happens. I mean, of course he wants to live in Malibu. This band is so good, and they're so courageous. Like you said, John, Dick Perry is legendary, especially here. And I wanted to ask you, Wes, what you thought about Alan Parsons' engineering and producing in this song, like what you heard. And I know you're going to go next, so I'll shut up and let you tell me then. But this song is so nicely put together. It was really hard for me to try to sort out which one I loved better, the reinterpretation of an old song and where they take it, or just the money, and I mean money in terms of like nailing it, engineering, production, arrangement, and just the delivery from Pink Floyd was just legendary. And I went Pink Floyd 10-9.
Wes?
Yeah, I think we're halfway through the album now on Dark Side. So this to me was the hardest, really the hardest round. I think Gallows Pole is the track on Led Zeppelin 3 that I'm guessing, obviously I don't know this, but this is sort of the track that, the whole album should have been, because they came off a massive American tour. They went to live in this middle of bumfuck nowhere cottage in the middle of Wales somewhere to write this stuff, and they wanted to be different. They wanted to make something a little more acoustic and stuff like that, and to me this track just encompasses it. You got an amazing vocal, you got Bonham going nuts, and it's folk meets country meets rock. Wow, that's courageous. I thought it was really cool and inventive, and I'm sure everybody who was listening to Led Zeppelin at the time went, "What the fuck is this shit?" Where's rock and roll? Where's all that stuff? And Page makes his guitar solo sound like a violin, like a country fiddle. It's like, wow, that's neat.
Yeah.
If I'd mark it down for something, is like there's a fade out at the end. I always think that's a cop out. And then you've got that, this massive organic beast against probably one of the most polished tracks of all time. Money.
Yeah, this is a matchup, man.
It's crazy. I mean, the time signature 7/4 going over into 4/4 is like, whoa, okay, yeah, that's clever. The money loops with the cash registers and the coins they strung together, and Dick Perry's solo is just out of this world. I mean, wow. People rag on saxophones all the time these days. It's like, whoa, hang on a minute. Listen to this.
Yeah.
And then wah wah on the whirly. How cool is that? Alan Parsons, Jesus. I mean, the giant of audio. I have so much respect for this guy. I mean, yeah, when Floyd usually, and specifically this album, is usually a sort of benchmark for me when it comes to comparing things sonically, engineering wise. So he's one of the gods for sure. However, having said that, Money's never been my favorite track on the album.
Oh boy.
I'm giving you a little roundhouse here. I gave this one to Led Zeppelin. I gave this to Gallows Pole 10 and Money 9.
Okay. Well, then.
Okay, so in this one, look, I like you too. They're going to be in here twice, so just have to deal with it. It's myself, Mike LePerry, and Chris Edrinall, Dr. Chris Edrinall, judging between, check out this, Bridge Over Troubled Water versus Where the Streets Have No Name. Get the hell out of here. Simon and Garfunkel take on U2. That's a monster way to start a fight. Absolutely own Bridge Over Troubled Water. I've tried to learn how to play some of the songs on my guitar. We are talking about these albums from a place of love. But sometimes family gets together and they can be critical and honest of one another. And this is a kooky format that they never ever considered, and that's what makes for great collisions in the fight ring. So, with that said, round one. What are your thoughts, Chris?
Well, Where the Streets Have No Name. Just what an opening, right? I mean, it starts out with the organ. It sounds like you're stepping into a church, and then it swells into, the Edge and Adam and Larry, and it changes meter. It's musically interesting, and it swells to this enormous space-filling sonic landscape from silence. It forces you to lean in closer, and then just when you think so, it blows your hair back. What an opening! I score the round. It is close because Bridge Over Troubled Water. I mean, big swell there too. Classic song. Close victory for U2, 10-9.
Mike, how did you have round one?
So I'm reading my notes. I'm going to read my notes verbatim for this song. Fuck this round. Fuck it badly. I hate giving out a tie. And that was where my first thought was, is this sucks. I need to listen to these songs again and come up with a winner. And both of these songs are great. Both songs have a slow build. Both songs have amazing vocal performances. And then I kind of focused in on Bridge first. It's really Art Garfunkel's magnum opus. Simon is nowhere to be heard until about 3:14 in. But the addition of that harmony just takes the song to another level as it's building to its crescendo. And the song is just genius. And if you don't get a little emotional listening to this song, you're dead inside. Then Streets, it kind of starts out with awe, that just slow build of the organ. Then Edge comes in with that jangly guitar that no one had heard before. But the thing about this song is no single instrument, including Bono's voice, drowns out any other instrument. They build together in a wide-eyed optimism to a place nobody can name. Is it heaven? Is it Las Vegas? Who knows? But Where the Streets Have No Name sounds like an amazing place that I want to go to someday. I hate this round. I could not give out a tie. I refused to. So I listened to both songs 3 times before I could come up with U2 coming out 10-9 in a very, very close victory.
I will say that on the scorecard, and we won't get too far ahead of ourselves in that, but Phil, one of our CompuBox, we do an aggregate scoring thing. He actually couldn't bear to do it. He actually had to do a tie. and I think that is accurate because my round one assessment goes like this. How the hell do you separate these two songs? Each song is covered by over a dozen different acts. That's such a compliment. Each song has won multiple Grammys or been part of a Grammy effort. U2 has played the song Streets Have No Names 900 times live. The only songs above it are songs that are older in their catalog, and I think there's 3 songs they have played more for crowds, and they're all from earlier albums. That number's got to be the same for Simon and Garfunkel. These guys have been on the road forever playing this song, whether individually or together. So each song is perfection. That opening organ and guitar for the Streets, we've all talked about it. The piano and Art's beautiful voice, and then they slowly bring in the other instruments. I just don't know. They're both masterworks.
Both are widely recognized as masterpieces. You don't have to like either act to understand that these songs are special. I'm inclined to pick Bridge because I'm biased towards U2 and I don't want that to happen. I don't want that to affect things. But Johnny Cash damn near won a Grammy himself with Bridge Over Troubled Water. So I'm like, well, shoot, maybe there's something else there. So I'm going to dig really deep, and the size of Streets is undeniable. Bridge Over Troubled Water is 164 words in the lyrics. Streets is 170. And then Bridge Over Troubled Water, it's a shoulder to lean on. I'm trying to look for something. And that whole Silver Girl bit is just wonderful. Sail on, Silver Girl. I don't know why, but that particular lyric. But it's about chasing dreams. And it's the lover in Bridge is letting someone go. Maybe because they didn't win, maybe because they don't feel like they should win, or because they just can't hold the Silver Girl. Whereas Streets is going there together, and I like being in love and chasing a dream together. Since both of these songs are about chasing a dream, but U2 is doing it together. That's my narrow margin, by the way. Just I like to see them hand in hand going out there. So on that concept alone, because there really is no difference, I'm calling this one 10-9 for U2.
Beach Boys' Pet Sounds and Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's. This is basically the top 2 albums of all time by a lot of people's guess. And so this is Mike LaPerry, John, and myself trying to figure out who the heck to pick between The Benefit of Mr. Kite and Sloop John B.
Hey, Pete, I actually scored this 10-8, so I'm going to lodge my correction there. But let me ask you a question, Pete, before you get started. What is close to musical masturbation? Is that like a bad hand job from your girlfriend with a glove on? Okay.
A la Animal House?
No, it's when you're in class and you've got some 501s on and you're wiggling your legs back and forth and you realize you've chubbed up a nice fat boner and you realize if I keep going, technically masturbation, but if I chill out and let this grizzly bear in my pants calm down, you're right there. That's that spot.
Thanks for the clarification.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So round 7 is Sloop John B versus Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite. Take it away, Mike.
First note here, who puts a fucking calliope in the middle of a rock and roll song? Genius. Genius.
Oh, genius.
Absolute
Okay. Genius.
genius.
I see.
I've loved this song since I think the first time I heard it when I was a little kid. Great vocals, weird experimental lyrics, which I always thought were again really cool when I was a kid. And now I know they were on acid, but at the time I just thought, oh, Henry the Horse dances the waltz. How cool. Kind of freaky. And then in the other corner we have Sloop John B, which was a big hit for the Beach Boys. And is a great song. Mike Love makes another appearance, but in this case he's actually swapping singing duties back and forth with Brian Wilson, which works really well. It really adds to the song, and it makes you understand his whole "don't fuck with the formula" statement that he made when he first started hearing Pet Sounds from Brian Wilson. So I think Mike Love was kind of against it at first.
I think he was against it all the way through 1988.
Yeah. So yeah, this is definitely a Beach Boys song in the middle of Pet Sounds, but this one works. I don't like it as much as Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite, however, so I will give this one to the Beatles. 10-9, Calliope and all.
Calliope and all. Pete.
There's another Mike that didn't like the Wrecking Crew playing his music, and that was Mike Nesbitt. And which one of those guys was smarter? Mike Love learned to get along with what was going on and has had a long, productive touring career. Who cares about the guy that played something in the Monkees or not? So yeah, there's a trade-off there, and
that guy's done okay for himself.
He has, but he's had a different path, not as big as what Mike Love has done. In my opinion, at least. Let's get back to the fight. I've never quite gotten Sloop John B, and let's also cover the fact that this is a cover, but it is the recognized version of the song that everybody thinks of. No one thinks of the Kingston Trio's version or some Islander guy singing it. This is the version, so that's us accounting for the cover, and it's good, but it's not as good as For the Benefit of Mr. Kite. John, you know how much I love a glockenspiel. It makes its appearance. This is George Martin again on display, and This is done with like what, a 4-track recording, and look at all the layers that are going on and how much simultaneous playing had to be done and how much fantastic mastering and mixing had to go into this just to pull off the sounds and the way it's arranged. It's a masterwork. George Martin by himself beats everybody else in the other room. This for me is 10-9 Beatles.
Now see, this is one of those instances where I wish I would have gone first, because now I have to say what I was going to say. My mind may have been changed. But instead of looking over at the other judges' scorecards and going, those guys are right, I'm just going to stick with my scorecard. And what I said was Sloop John B has a glockenspiel. I'm voting for it. That's it. Pete likes those damn things so much, I can't let that thing go by without voting for it. The song, though, has some fidelity. Among all of these Beach Boys songs that are on this record, I can't figure out the difference between 65 and 66 and why this record sounds so much less vibrant than Sgt. Pepper. But the one song that sounds okay on it, Sloop John B., I didn't realize it was a cover. So I may have thought differently about it. I dug that Mr. Kite is one of the songs that the Beatles wrote after their obligation to play anything live, and so they could just flex and do whatever they wanted. So from that standpoint, maybe I should have voted for that song. The weird vocals, though, those weird lyrics weirded me out. I always thought that they were kind of creepy. So I voted for Sloop John B. The Beach Boys, the Glockenspiel song.
Okay, this is way back, and again, we're going to the U2 tank here, but it's Nirvana's Nevermind taking on Achtung Baby from U2, 1991, Gone Wild. It's Territorial Pissings versus The Fly, and I think you're going to like how we cover this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, talk about round 6.
When you look at the context of this album, this maturation, in love and everything else, how they're dealing with the breakup of love, we see them hit this new gear. And this is the closing song from the first side. Larry shows up wonderfully, and I don't know what he does. I never can explain it, and you always have to tell me, but he is everything you need him to be. This is why he's in the greatest rock band, because he can deliver these things, and he has drum hooks that just get to places, and he does that. But once again, what really delivers this song over a very strong Polly song is the lyric. Desperation is a tender trap. It gets you every time. You put your lips to her lips to stop the lie.
Yeah. This is another example of Bono winning on lyrics, and he's winning on lyrics because he can express, first of all, it's a life stage that, just like you said, Nirvana's not there yet. U2 as human beings are more developed, and Bono as a lyricist is more capable of conveying the subtleties in that human development. So it's just not a fight. This round is just... So Cruel is not my favorite U2 song. Honestly, I don't even like it. But here's where a lackluster U2 song is still better than most bands can do on their best day.
Yeah.
And the separation and that kind of stuff is something that he doesn't try hard to make it so that we can relate. He just weaves through the subtleties in that pain, and we all go, man, whether our pain is different, he makes the pain the universal part. The thing is, Polly is not good, and some out there are going to hate that I said that. I know, I'm going to piss somebody off. But I can't think of anyone I know who likes the song, and I don't like it either. They sound like a garage band. Not their best.
Yeah, I have to add a little more to this. This is the closer for side 1, and it's going to be sort of a coda later on to the closer for side 2. But this, and right in the middle of recording this album, this is when Edge and his first wife's marriage breaks up. Yeah. This is this moment where you're at a party and you're looking, and this line comes up. She wears my love like a see-through dress. Her lips say one thing, her movements something else. Oh, love, like a screaming flower. Love, dying every hour.
Yeah.
This is the death of that. And it's so cruel. She's so cruel. He's so cruel. Life, love, they're all so cruel. You're capturing exactly what it takes to
to go on with your life in your 30s. You know, this is the first time where the world is punching you in the balls. And
this episode of the Break It Down Show is brought to you by Lions Rock Productions.
That's us.
We publish, evaluate, and develop podcasts just like this one, consult others to build their own, and create associated content and content marketing strategies.
So if you're launching or expanding your social media presence, your business or your personal brand, or if you just want to take your media presence to the next level,
reach out to us on Twitter
at Pete A. Turner
or at JohnLG69
at the Break It Down Show.
There's 1,000 ways to get a hold of us.
Now enjoy the show.
That's what the song is about. It's just about life being, you know, you are in love. You are together. You've grown up together, and it doesn't work. And you just now are realizing that we've got a real problem. And again, against Polly, like you said, this is not a polished band. This is a sub-pop label, and they do the best they can with what they got. But they don't got enough. This, for me, is a knockdown round.
Wow, 2 knockdown rounds in a row.
Yeah.
I think you captured that really well, in that pain is universal, and whether or not you've been through that very situation where you have something directly to tie it to, you can definitely empathize with the fact that here's a couple in love and it's not working. And you two only ever performed this song live 4 times.
Wow.
And I feel like that's probably an indicator, and it was all on that Zoo TV tour. And I think that that's an indicator that they had at some point said, we have to put this to bed.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe not consciously, maybe it wasn't a decision, but maybe the set list just went on without it, and it was easy to leave behind.
Okay, in this one we did father versus son, Bob Marley versus Ziggy Marley. And Richard talked about this one in the opening. And it is a blowout, but the point is they both put great music together. And if you weren't down with Ziggy, now you are. In this case, it's Wes, Phil Green, and myself looking at Three Birds versus Keeping on a Dream. All right, well, let's go into round 9. And just in case you thought Bob was out of ideas, he comes up with Three Little Birds. And you may not know this song by that title, but it's basically Don't Worry About a Thing. Every little thing's going to be all right if you don't know the song already. This song does not belong to Bob Marley anymore. It belongs to humanity. If you don't, at some point, often in your life, hum that hook or sing it or want to hear it, if you've not seen it in a movie, it belongs to everybody. This is one of those special songs that is not, the lyric is fantastic. The groove absolutely removes you from wherever you thought you were. So here's how classic this song is. Maroon 5 was paid to sing a song for the 2018 World Cup. Guess what song they sang? They sang this song. So Shane Victorino, who played baseball for the Phillies, this was his walk-up song when he played on the Red Sox in their World Championship year. And the moment he would come to the plate, and Phil, you know baseball, how often, actually, Wes, you like baseball.
Yeah.
How often during a walk-up song does the crowd sing the walk-up song? Never. But when Shane would walk up to the plate, they would absolutely sing Three Birds as he did that. This song is incredible, and if I could, I would give Bob an 11. And I thought that 2 different times on this album. This song is beautiful. It's perfect. It is better than the best songs, and for me, it's really special. Keep on Dreaming. I have a lot of respect for Ziggy's work. And I don't think this is in any way a bad song, but this fight really is over at this point. I don't think he lost a single round from Wes's card. And for me, you know, there's no way Ziggy can beat King with their Keep on Dreaming is great, but it's not that great. So it's Bob Marley, and I'm going to say it's 10-9, but I'm being kind. So that is that for round 9. Let me ask you, Wes, how did you have round 9?
Well, yeah, I mean, how do I follow what you just said? Three Little Birds is part of the fabric of society. There we go.
Yeah.
He's just going to win this one purely on feel-good factor and painting a beautiful image.
Boy.
You know, yeah, everybody knows this song. Everybody loves this song. It's cute. It's just everything. All the ingredients are there. Keep on Dreaming. I mean, it was difficult one for me, funnily enough. I mean, Keep on Dreaming has got a great vibe, But in the end, I kind of put it down to it felt like it lacked a little bit of substance, especially against the sentiment of Three Little Birds. So 10-9 for Bob Marley.
Phil? I mean, I don't know what else I can say.
Yeah.
Three Little Birds is an amazing song. We were speaking about the backup singers. They like to think of themselves as Bob's Three Little Birds.
Yeah.
Right.
Even though this song really probably, according to everything that I read, was about three birds, some birds that just flew up to them. But, it's such an uplifting song. It's iconic. Love it. Keep on dreaming. It was interesting. The message was, the message was great. I could see this song being in a David Lynch movie. There were some chords in there that just fit like that whole David Lynch feel. But I had it 10-9, Three Little Birds.
All right, let's go into the final round.
All right, and in our final round, we have another just ridiculous. Pearl Jam takes on Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction. And let me tell you, this was such a tight and close fight. Greg, myself, and John judged this one, and it's Glorified G versus Out to Get Me. Check it out. Let me know what you guys think.
Round 4, Glorified G versus Out to Get Me. Greg, what did you do?
Out to Get Me is it's Aerosmith, New York Dolls meets New York Dolls type of deal. Nothing special here. To me, they had to change the key for the guitar solo just to add interest for the GNR. That's just a straight driving song. The guitars drive all the way through. There's really not a whole lot of song dynamics on Out to Get Me. It's kind of the same story here again. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll, kind of the theme of the whole album. So Out to Get Me, it's why was it number 4 on the album? I don't know. It's just an okay song to me. Glorified G, I was so shocked. The song really hit me. I liked it. It was interesting guitar riff with the bass intro, just real creative, something different that I haven't heard from Pearl Jam. There was good space. As a musician, I like to hear space. I like to hear openness. Where you can think, without to Get Me, just from 0 to 100 in just seconds. So great tempo. That hook, that glorified version of a pellet gun. I just see myself singing that, and I did a little homework on it. I guess the drummer is a Texas boy, right, John?
Yep.
Yeah. So I guess he went out and he bought a gun and came to rehearsal and told Eddie Vedder that. He's like, "What the fuck? You bought a gun? Holy shit!" No, he goes, "No, I didn't buy a gun. I bought 2 guns." So, Eddie Vedder's like, he was just blown away by this, and it created the whole idea of writing the song. So he was pissed off, that he went out and bought guns. So Glorified D did it. This one is a great song. Out to Get Me is just an average song. So I scored it 10-9, Glorified G.
I did the same thing. The thing about Dave Abruzzese that's interesting, he did grow up I think he grew up in Mesquite, which is just country. And you think about, his country background, but he was born in Connecticut. So I'm not sure what was going on there. Same thing though, when I listen to Out to Get Me, it starts too high and it doesn't have any room to go any higher. So Glorified G it's musically complex. It's a song woven from strong parts. Everybody's part is strong. There's compositional movement, the contrast of thickness and economy. It's a nice head-bobbing groove. It's got country influence, but it's funky. Stone Goddard and Mike McCready play off each other beautifully. It's funny that in the song you notice the drums and I notice the guitar. But Jeff Ament plays an upright bass in this song. By contrast, I think Out to Get Me is a fighter showing signs of wind in the 4th round. So,
agreed.
It's just more of the same. 10-9 Glorified. Pete, what did you score?
Yeah, Out to Get Me is, we're talking about, like Greg said, this is the 4th song, and it just followed up 3 very solid rock and roll themed songs. So when you don't step the game up again, it's going to show. So this isn't the strongest song on this album. And of course, as always, look, we love these albums. Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking about them. So hashtag, the disclaimer. We want you to buy these records. We want you to listen to Pearl Jam, give them a spin on Spotify. Same thing with Guns N' Roses. So understand where we're coming from. But look, Out to Get Me, if Guns N' Roses is still playing it live, it's part of a medley. They speed it up and get through it in 2.5 minutes. This isn't their best song, and that's just how it is. And then Glorified G is just one of those songs where, look, Pearl Jam can't even make sense of it. Everything I read about them talking about it, every interview I listened to was they're like, we don't know, it just works. The lyrics come from some scribbled notes like Greg talked about from the band in a chat, and it's sort of just one of those happy accidents that happens when you're all in the mix and you're making a great album and like, let's just try this. And this is a change of pace, and I think it works nicely in the album. So I'm going to go Pearl Jam 10-9.
Okay, I also just want to piggyback on your comment about, how we love these albums, because I just referred to Guns N' Roses as a tired fighter in the 4th round. And I'll just say, if you want to talk shit about a Guns N' Roses album, shit's about to jump off because I'm going to punch you in the mouth. So that's how we feel about and this is a guy who just scored that round, the round of a tired fighter. So yeah, absolutely. Like Pete said, we're not talking smack about any of these albums. They're only in the ring because we absolutely love them. I want to hear from Richard.
Yeah, I'm going to pipe in here a little bit.
Richard's scorecard. He had.
I'm the lone man out on this one.
Yeah, he had Out to Get Me as a winner.
First of all, Glorified G. I love the melody. I love the instrumental work and everything. But Preachy McPreacherson, shut the fuck up.
Yes.
Yes. For God's sakes. And I don't mind. I don't mind politics in my music. Some of the best rock songs. But Jesus Christ, Vetter, we get your point. Get that ham off your fist. I saw them on this tour in Memphis. It just so happened the same weekend as this concert, they had a gun show at the fairgrounds. And before they played this song, Vetter lost his shit about it because there were signs everywhere about a gun show. So we got about a 5-minute lecture on guns and stuff like that. And I'm not here to make that debate or anything like that. And I'll give Pearl Jam credit. They were 20, almost 30 years ahead of the current debate and everything. And I just want to say about Out to Get Me. It is a perfect encapsulation of paranoia if you listen to it. And any song that says, "So you can suck me on it," gets a vote for me. Before this album, a mainstream album, you would never hear "So You Can Suck Me" on that album. And historical perspective is one of my big things. And the fact that the only time you could hear "fuck" and "You Can Suck Me" on an album was if it was a punk album. And the fact that this came into the mainstream, it says today it might not mean that much, but back then it was huge. Because think about hair metal and how just bland it had gotten up to 87. And it was just corporate and the Aquanet and the pretty colors and all this stuff. And then here comes this band and they say, "So you can suck me?" No.
I can still smell the Aquanet, Richard. I can still smell it. Those sweaty clubs in downtown LA. I was there.
Hey, I appreciate those things too. I appreciate all of
that. You had a bullet, huh, John?
Oh, come on.
Anyway, I love Pearl Jam.
All right, there you guys have it. It's the sample of what we do here in the album fight. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Thanks for hanging in there with me.